नमस्कार. आयच्या ब्रेकवरात तुमकां येवकार. पंचायतींचेर डिमांड चल्ल्यात आनी पंचायत म्हळें की आमकां प्रत्येकाक आनी गोंयांतल्या बहुतांश पॉप्युलेशनाक लागपी गजाल. तातूंत मागीर ग्रामसभा आयल्यो, सरपंच आयले, पंच आयले आनी खंय तरी ह्या ग्रामसभाचे अधिकार आनी सरपंच आनी पंचांचे अधिकार ह्या हाजेर ह्या दिसांनी वाद चालू आहा. मुख्यमंत्र्यांनी कांय स्टेटमेंट केली जाका खूब एक्टिविस्टांनी हरकत घेतली की मुख्यमंत्री जें उलयतात तें सारकें न्ही म्हण. कितें वस्तुस्थिती एकूण आनी कोणाचे अधिकार कोणा परस चड अल्टिमेटली हू इज हॅविंग द फायनल वर्ड, हू इज हॅविंग द लास्ट वर्ड, ही गजालीचेर आमी भासाभास करतात. आमचे पयले आज सेंटर फॉर सोशल जस्टीस आनी पिसाचे फादर मेवरीक फर्नांडीस. फादर स्वागत तुमचें. आनी दुसरे आसा आमचे बरोबर सिनियर जर्नलिस्ट गुरुदास सावय. सर तुमचें स्वागत. फादर सुरवात तुमचे कडच्यान करता. वाय यू गॉट एंग्री वेन यू हर्ड चीफ मिनिस्टर स्टेटमेंट? बिकॉज he was very clear. He was giving references of all constitutional provisions, legal position, technical position. And next day तुम्ही press conference घेतली आणि तुम्ही सांगले की CM whatever CM is speaking is kind of anti people. Why did you feel so?
The statements in the house were referring to the Gram Sabhas as watchdogs, and the watchdogs should not bite the masters. There is a confused understanding with the chief minister who is the watchdog and who is the master here, and that is what we brought up to say that the village is it's a village parliament. The Gram Sabha meeting is a village parliament, and this has to be very clearly understood not just by the chief minister but all the people who are having this confused idea about what is Gram Panchayat and what are Gram Sabhas. When it is very clear as far as the constitutional amendments have been brought in. Our own acts also are stating this, the functions of the Gram Panchayat and Gram Sabhas, stating very clearly whose powers is binding. When it is very stated that the decisions of the Gram Sabha are binding on the Panchayat, now who is the master? Like that, we have to just draw a parallel. The assembly
पंचायतीन एकदा खंयच्या तरी प्रोजेक्टाक लायसन दिलें. लेट्स टेक अ प्रॅक्टिकल एग्जांपल. पंचायतीन एकदा डिसिजन घेतलें की फाल्यां ग्रामसभेक जर ते नाका, वॉट एवर ग्रामसभा सजेस्ट इज अ रेकमेंडेशन. इट इज नॉट डिसिजन एंड इट इज नॉट बाइंडिंग ऑन द पंचायत, बिकॉज पंचायत ही अल्टिमेटली लोकांनी सिलेक्ट करून दिल्ली असता.
I would like to state this to answer this question. Section 6 of the Panchayat Act in subsection 4 very clearly states, I'll read this. The decision taken by the Gram Sabha shall be binding on the Panchayat provided it is not contrary to the law. Rules and regulations framed under this act. So if it is binding, how can it be said that it is...
समजा rules and regulations follow करून एका प्रोजेक्टाक परमिशन दिलें आणि गांव म्हणटा की आमकां हो मेगा प्रोजेक्ट हो हांगा आयल्यार आमचे गांवचें सगळें संतुलन बिगडटलें, हो आमकां नाका. पंचायतीन rules and regulations follow करून permission दिला.
Okay.
In that scenario, what happens?
In that scenario, what happens? When the rules and regulations are to be ensured and implemented, there is not just the rules and regulations that alone can be taken into consideration there. What is the ground reality? Today, rules are also people abort the rules and get things done by influence, by money power. There are a lot of things which are happening. A very simple thing. The exploitation of the resources is taking place and the panchayat and the neighbors should keep quiet about this. Because the panchayat rules are stating you can give these things. Is this fair justice? These are
you are saying Gram Sabha has a final word.
It is also the spirit also of the
Gram
law.
Sabha has a final word, not necessarily panchayat all the time.
The law says that.
Okay. सर तुमकां कितें दिसता एकूण जर कॉन्ट्रोवर्सी पयली चीफ मिनिस्टरान कंटिन्युअसली सांगलां की आपूण डिटेल्सां भितर वचना, बट आय एम स्टेटिंग टेक्निकलिटीज, आय एम सेइंग वॉट लॉ सेज, अवर्स इज अ रिप्रेझेंटेटिव्ह डेमोक्रेसी. आणि अशी परिस्थिती भितर पंचायत ग्रामसभांनी अतिरेक करचो न्ही.
करेक्ट.
तुमचें मत कितें?
आमी जर फाटली 2 दिवसां पयली जायत न्ही, विशेषतः सालसेत थंय जे मेगा प्रोजेक्टाचे अगेन्स्ट जे आंदोलन जालें ग्रामसभांनी, ती पळयल्या जाल्यार ग्रामसभेनी कितें जालें की कांय लोक येताले. आमची ग्रामसभा पळय आहा थंय 2,000 लोक आसात मतदार, तातूंत 200 लोक येतात आनी तातले जे इंट्रस्टेड आहा पळय ते देतात,
जांकां त्या एकूण प्रोजेक्टा भितर किंवा खंय त्या इश्यू भितर इंट्रस्ट आसा,
आनी तांकां जाय ते ठराव पास करून घेतात. हो ठराव जर पंचायती पास जालो जाय जाल्यार मागीर पंचायतान जाय कितें मागीर सगळे डिसिजन पळय आहा न्ही ते ग्रामसभेन घेवपाची.
एक एकदा तुमी म्हणटा की ग्रामसभा सुद्दां मोटिवेटेड आसता.
भौतीक आसात. विशेषतः ते साक्षीक जे कितें घडलां पळय मेगा प्रोजेक्ट बाबतीत ते सगळे कडेन बाणावले म्हण कोलवा म्हण नुवें म्हण सगळे कडेन जाले पळय ते सगळे मोटिवेटेड आसले. आनी ते लोक जांकां इंट्रस्ट आहा पळय ते थंय येताले आनी बोवाळ घालताले आनी जाय ठराव पास करून घेताले. हे ठराव तांचे बांडींग जाले जाय जाल्यार पंचायतान जाय कित्याक पंचायत जेन्ना निर्णय घेता खंयचो प्रोजेक्ट आसूं तो मेगा आतां गोव्यात मेगा प्रोजेक्ट एक्चुअली नाच कायद्यान जे आमी मेगा म्हणटा ते नाच गोव्यात. पण जे प्रोजेक्ट ते घेताले ते PWD टावन प्लॅनिंग सगळे डिपार्टमेंटान कन्सल्ट करून
परमिशन सगळे घेताले.
हय ते परमिशन मेळत ना न्ही. हे 3 जे डिपार्टमेंट आहा पळय हेल्थ, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी आनी PWD हांची परवानगी घेतल्या शिवाय आनी TCP मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टंट. कोणाक लायसन्स दिनासले ते अशी लायसन्स जेन्ना लोक मागतात लोक कोण मागतात 2000 लोकां पैकी 200 लोक मागतात. आतां आमची जी पंचायत आहा पेडणे फास्ट पळय थंय ग्रामसभेक 20-30 लोक असतात तेंका लायसन्स थरयतात. जनरल पब्लीक पळय आहा न्ही तांकां तुमकां इंट्रस्ट ना. अशा वेळाचेर ग्रामसभेत निर्णय जर बायंडींग जाले पंचायतीचेर जाल्यार पंचायत विल नॉट बी एबल टू फंक्शन.
Father, isn't it a valid point where a small group of people comes, they try to manipulate the whole decision, they pass their own resolutions and take entire village for a ride.
Yeah.
Isn't it a valid point?
I will give a very simple, because he has made statements about Salsette particularly.
Yeah.
I will give examples. No, I know of a village like Kolva. There was just one village, one ward, which had 16 houses. Okay, in this with 16 houses, suddenly a project comes up with 90 flats. One project, another comes up with 120 flats. What is the demography change that is taking place? 200 people with the existing resources, with the existing infrastructure for 16 people who are managing that thing with no additional. So the people should remain quiet because the rules are there. Now, secondly, these were also catchment areas where the permissions has been granted. Now, have the rules been followed? In catchment areas, can you allow settlement?
But there
So
are
the
some
rules and
certain
regulations
examples.
exist. The rules and regulations exist. No site inspections are done by the TCP, any of the departments. The panchayat body also doesn't send its report that this is an area which is marked, which is requested
Catchment
come
area.
for catchment area. Rules and regulations are followed, the government will say.
Father,
Our friend is referring to people are coming together. So if some people come and raise an issue from that village, they feel agitated about such a thing coming without any consultation, without any, so they should keep quiet.
Father, the point is, even the point that he is trying to make, that Panch and Sarpanch are elected by the entire constituents. And त्या कॉन्स्टिट्युएंट्सातले हार्डली मे बी 10% किंवा 5% लोक ग्रामसभेक येतले and they will try to manipulate a situation and then that will be binding on the entire panchayat even if those people are motivated.
Let me put it this way.
Even if those people are motivated.
If some people show interest in the functioning of a village, it is objectionable? I'm
No,
asking
it
a
is not
question.
objectionable. It cannot be.
So if people
Yeah.
are being interested in the governance of its panchayat, which is the panchayat Raj institutions, that people should be directly involved in the governance of its village, what is the objection to that?
Do you agree that in some instances at least our Gram Sabhas have gone overboard? There have been fights,
there
have
are
been
Gram
tussles.
Sabha, there are Gram Sabhas, not just only with this type of people who are interested in government. There are Gram Sabhas manipulated also by the MLAs. There are people who are sent by vested interests to
Father, you are
to change
supporting my
things.
opinion.
To change things.
Yeah.
But who are the vested interests?
Whoever
Vested
is the-
interests.
ते म्हणतात की मॅनिप्युलेशन दोन्ही साइडीन
दोन्ही
जाता.
side, yeah.
ते
No, but-
घडये एकाच
No,
साइडीन जावपाक शकना.
you're trying to say that only some people who are interested in governance. To that, I don't see an objection. But if vested interests are coming in order to
You are saying
push
that
the
vested
idea-
interest can come from both the sides.
No. The vested interests are someone who is going to benefit. The vested interest of a village who is concerned about the person who is concerned about his village, can you call this vested interest in a negative sense?
It
He's
is a
being
vested
involved-
interest in a positive sense.
Positively involved in
कशी
the
गजाल
governance
आसा
of its
ते म्हणतात
village.
की एक येता न्ही कोणी येतात ते इंटरेस्ट घेऊन येतात एक डेमोक्रेटिक प्रोसेसा भितर इंटरेस्ट घेऊन येतात तांकां आमी
Why
लेबल कित्याक मारचे
objections to these people's
तांकां आमी
participation
लेबल
in
कित्याक
governance?
मारचे तांकां आमी लेबल कित्याक
This
This
मारचे
is
genuine
direct
interest
democracy.
आहा
This is Panchayati Raj system.
नाही जांकां जेन्युइन इंट्रस्ट आहा पळय तातूंत मागीर कांयच म्हणणें ना तें करपाचें. पण हांगा जाता कितें की अपोज द प्रोजेक्ट आतां जेन्ना सरपंच आसता डेप्युटी सरपंच आसता पंचायत सेक्रेटरी आसता आनी ते आमचे प्रतिनिधी न्ही ते आमकां निवडून दिल्ले आसता तांची जबाबदारी आसता की तांणी ते पळोवपाक जाय. आतां काही ठिकाणी फायल तेन्ना वता पळय तेन्ना TCP येवन ते इन्स्पेक्शन करपाक जाय.
बरोबर
TCP neon inspection करून
या
घे.
दे हॅव टू डू
Because
पंचायतीने करपाक जाय.
TCP has got the technical persons.
बरोबर.
Should have sent them to the site and done an inspection and then give permissions.
बरोबर
Any of the TCP comes for site inspection to
मागे
give.
see these are the rules and regulations and checks and balances that our system already has.
Yes.
Wherever it is not followed, it is fine that people raise their voice and say
Obviously.
something. अशी गजाली जाल्यार जंय एकामेकाचेर खुर्ची काडून मारल्यो, एकामेकाचेर कदेल हें काडून मारल्यो, तकली फोडल्यो. Isn't that wrong? Where don't you think in these instances at least our Gram Sabhas go a little overboard?
Certainly. I'm not objecting to the excesses that have taken place. I'm not saying that it's not taking place. Excesses have been taken place. Possibly because of some interests are being affected. Could be possible because there are instances where certain interests are being threatened at the Gram Sabha and therefore they create this confusion so that no decisions could be taken at the Gram Sabha. No resolutions could be passed at the Gram Sabha because their interests would be affected. These excesses have been known. It's so much reported by the media of who is behind this also.
चीफ मिनिस्टरान अनेक जो मुद्दो काडिल्लो तो म्हळ्यार प्रश्न काडलो की रिप्रेझेंटेटिव्ह डेमोक्रेसीचो. वेन यू आर इलेक्टिंग युअर रिप्रेझेंटेटिव्ह and if every time you are going to create hurdles for him in his functioning.
When the Gram Sabha functions, there is an assembly of people. It is the same system. How the assembly, at the assembly today, the MLAs are questioning the actions of the government.
People are questioning actions
People
of
are
the Panchayat.
questioning the
So their assembly is not deciding anything. They are only questioning for any issue. Gram Sabha decide something.
Gram Sabha affects the entire decision.
Working of the Panchayat.
But that's the law. What is wrong in following the law by the Gram Sabha members?
If the law is
The
wrong, then you have
decision
to change,
taken by
change
the
it, amend
Gram
it.
Sabha shall be binding on the Panchayat means the powers are
एक
given to the
गजाल
people.
जाल्या एक गजाल जाल्या हांगा
It is very
आमी जेन्ना उलयतात आय विल कम टू यू फादर अगेन खंय तरी लोकांचो आपणेच निवडून दिल्ल्या सरपंचाचेर आनी पंचाचेर विश्वास ना.
नाही विश्वास आसात लोकांचो न्ही पण काही जे लोक असतात पळय एक्टिविस्ट म्हणूया आमी ते तांकां दिसता की बाबा हे चुकीचें आहा म्हण पण ती पद्दत जे ते हे करतात न्ही
ज्या पद्दतीन ते करतात
तांच्यान जर म्हणजे आतां इलिगल काम जाता जायत समजा तर ताका आनी बाकीचे मार्ग आहात न्ही ग्रामसभेत ठराव पास करून जर तुम्ही ते काम बनवून येतले जाय तर जावंक शकचे ना कारण पंचायत मागीर कामच करूंक शकची ना. फाल्यां जर असेंब्लीन सांगलें आमी ठराव पास केलो की आतां पर्यटन ठीक ते रॉंग म्हणून अशें जावंक शकता जावंक शकना न्ही. हो कायदो चुकीचो आसा जायत म्हाका दिसता जाल्यार तो अमेंड जावपाक जाय.
No.
There are some
All kinds of
constitutional-
no,
there
let
are
me
some
put it.
constitutions.
Let me put it.
Gram
Let me
Sabha
put it
cannot
very
take a
clearly.
decision.
See, don't take that the law is defaulted.
Faulty.
Here.
Yeah.
This is a constitutional amendment. This law has been. There are lacunas there. I'm not saying there are no lacunas. I will also point out some lacunas there, which have to be reinstated.
And
things have
corrected.
to be amended because the constitutional amendment states it very clearly. 243ZD speaks about special planning, about what development plan committees to be forming its own plans and all these things are there, which need to be reflected in this. But don't say that this because it's binding. It is very clear also it is also clear in 243G. All such powers to be given to the panchayat to function as a self-government. This is the constitutional amendment.
correct.
That is a reflection of that.
Yes.
What is wrong
Father,
with that?
the point is ह्याच कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन
गोव्यान जे कितें घटना घडल्यात पळय फाटल्या 2-4 वर्सांक ते जर पळयले जायत तर हे प्रोविजन पळय ते
even
चुकीचे
people are not taking this law in its spirit.
ना तशें जायना न्ही.
Even people are not taking at many places this law in its spirit.
Don't point out the excesses and say that the law is wrong.
Okay.
Excesses are there. Let us admit.
They are not practical.
Excesses are there.
But
I'm not
they are
saying
not-
that no.
they are not
But don't say
practical
because
rather.
of the excesses are there, the law is wrong. Or the functioning of the...
We should be correct rather than the law. Law is correct. We are behaving
नाही
in
प्रमोद
a
There are
wrong way.
excesses. I say.
In a- yeah.
Pramod,
Not
I
to
want
say
to say
that- not to say that
the Gram
everybody
Sabha
who's-
cannot take a decision. Because when there are 100 people, if they decide for 5,000 people, it is wrong, nih? And they are all motivated people.
See, this is the confused ideas that are existing. Exactly, I'm saying it is very clearly stated here. The functions of the Gram Sabha in subsection 4. It is saying the decision taken by the Gram Sabha shall be binding on the panchayat. I'm quoting the Goa Panchayati Raj Act,
Correct.
1994, and the
We are
rules.
not-
correct.
We are not doubting about the act.
ते कितें म्हणटात की
That's
जर
all
100 लोक आयले आनी ते समजा मोटिवेटेड असले आनी तांणी 5,000 लोकां खातीर डिसिजन घेतलें एवरी टायम that decision need not be right.
It not be right. If it is against the law, any other law, it is saying no, rules and regulations framed by this act, no, or any other law for the time being enforced, that will be wrong.